Uncensored, no holds barred talk. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. This is Global Reality Radio Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another live edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us tonight here for another Moonbat edition of the broadcast. Tuesday going into Wednesday now, the 14th into the 15th of June, 2011. And we're going to be getting into a lot of news and information for you here on the show tonight. We've got, that's just every day, folks. More crazy shit to get up here and discuss. So that's what we're going to do again for you here tonight on the show. I'd love to have emails from you as well tonight. And you out there that have emails or have things that you want to send in and have me discuss for you on the show. Global Reality Show at gmail.com. That's Global Reality Show at gmail.com. That's my email address. That's where you can send me anything you'd like me to read on the air or talk about on the show or anything else like that. That's where you can send that questions. I love questions. I love when people, send an email in and say, hey, what do you think about this? I'm actually got one here tonight as well. I'm going to get into that was sent last week from Scott. And I went, what had happened was we had all those attacks last week. We didn't have as many shows, and so Scott's email got kind of lost in the shuffle, and he had some questions about my opinions on chemtrails and stuff, so I'll get into that tonight here on the show as well. But I like that kind of stuff. I like when people, have a specific thing that they want to ask me about just to get my take on, because that's half the battle sometimes in all this stuff. It's we all need to be each other's resources in our own research, because, what I've looked at is going to be different than what, our listener Scott has looked at. He's looking at one thing. He's got his evidence. He's got his beliefs, whatever else. And then I've got, my research and the things I've looked at, my opinions and the different things about that. And that, to me, that's kind of the essence of what we all should be doing, is using each other for resources, for knowledge, so we can, gain a greater perspective on this stuff ourselves. That's all, that we can, to me, that's all you can really hope to do. I mean, you can do more than that, but I think that's the most important aspect is, using people for resources to further our own knowledge. And because ultimately, the way somebody else has looked at something may be very radically different from the way you've looked at it. There may be an angle you haven't looked at, and so that may help there. So I really do enjoy questions. I enjoy that kind of thing. So anything like that you ever want to send in, globalrealityshow at gmail.com. globalrealityshow at gmail.com. I'll do my best to get into those for you here tonight on the broadcast as well. My website where this broadcast originates from is www.theglobalreality.com. It's www.theglobalreality.com. If you're listening at 1:37 a.m. Central Standard Time, you are listening to a live show. So congratulations for being one of the lucky few that was crazy enough or stupid enough to stay up and listen to this. So thank you very much to everybody out there. We're going to be reading tonight. We're getting close to the end. We're going to be reading tonight from chapter 40 of William Bramley's The Gods of Eden, The Nature of a Supreme Being. And closing it up here with that, we're going to start reading out of the next thing we're going to read is I'm going to read because I actually got a copy of it a few weeks ago. So I'm going to read again. I had to say this last night, but I'm going to say it again tonight. Not everything I read on this show, articles, news articles, blog postings, books, not everything I read, even guests that I get up, I don't always agree with all of it. I mean, just because, I had a listener ask me to read William Bramley, The Gods of Eden on air, we had one of our listeners, I don't think he's been listening very long, so it's not his fault. He wasn't listening at the very beginning, I guess, of the shows, because he just found the show recently, when I talked about, or as I've said many times, just because I read something doesn't mean that I endorse it. You know what I mean? Or that I'm pushing the book or trying to get people to buy it or whatever else. So I want to make that clear that not everything that I read here I endorse. I've probably been one of the biggest, staunchest critics and defamers of Zecharia Sitchin through the years, but I got a copy of his book, The Lost Book of Enki. So I thought that would make an interesting next read to follow up with here with William Bramley, and definitely going to be another one where I bet we're going to find some gems and some aha moment type things. And also on top of that, I bet we find some, guarantee we're going to find some, not bet, guarantee we're going to find some disinfo propaganda type stuff in there too. So I think for that fact alone, it justifies reading it. Just so we can be clear on a lot of these points of, what is really what, instead of just saying, Sitchin was CIA and he most definitely was, or this, that, and the other, whatever else. We actually, let's not just say that. Let's read The Lost Book of Enki on there. Let's go through it. Let's see what we get out of it. We might get some positive stuff out of it. And then what's garbage, we'll call garbage. We won't pull any punches on it. So I think it's going to be fun. I think it'll be a good read. So we will continue tonight. Chapter 40 from William Bramley's The Gods of Eden. So definitely stick around for that. Here tonight as well, www.theglobalreality.com. It's www.theglobalreality.com. Love to see you in the chat room as well. It's a live chat room where you can interact with other listeners of the broadcast and hang out and chit-chat and all that stuff. So definitely check that out there. We also have the chipping banner and the donate button at the website as well. We do need your support. I sort of lately have been, I don't know, kind of, I don't know. I've just been in a state of dismay and disarray, and my head's finally starting to get screwed back on a bit after the things that have transpired over the past month. But I just don't know any other way to say it. We just need support right now, and it's really slow, and a lot of it's slowed down. But whatever you guys can do, chip your banners here, donate buttons there, do whatever you can do. We're at 000 000 all the way across the board on our account right now. So whatever anybody can do out there to help. We've got the stream bill coming up due, I think, Friday or Saturday as well. That's where you can do that. And also, you can, if you want, another thing you can do to help out, if you're a new listener and you haven't been listening very long, we have, because what we do here, when you hear me ask for donations and stuff, we may have new listeners that come on. You notice I don't have commercials. You notice when you go to my website, I don't have banner ads and advertisements. I have chose in 2009 when I started this network to try and start a platform. And it's been a fucking struggle, I'll tell you, but it's worth it. I think it's worth it. And a lot of people that support my network think it's worth it. So that's why we continue to do it. But my goal was to start something where because everybody always told me, well, if you're going to run a radio network and you're going to have a platform, you have to sell gold, or you have to sell water filters. And I'm like, no, fuck that. I am not going to have to take time out of my radio broadcast when I'm trying to get out information to have some Yahoo come on and hawk his gold or hawk his, magical powder potion or whatever it may be, snake oil of the week. I was trying to get away from that format. So I told my listeners, in December 2009 that, hey, I'm going to start this network. I'm not going to sell advertising. I'm not going to sell banner ads. I'm not going to do anything. It's going to be strictly, this is what we need to operate, blah, blah, blah. We got to have whatever the chip and banner says in, that's what we have to have in each month to operate. Will you guys support me? And a lot of people came forward and said, yes, they would. So that's what we do here. That's why we do it in that format. I have my DVDs for sale. See, right, Volume 1, 9/11 New World Rising. We never sell any of those. I can't remember the last time I sold a DVD. It's been a long time. But those are there as well if you want to, and that helps out with supporting us as well. But there you go. Thanks so much to everybody out there. Please donate and support our work if you can. There's something major going on. I knew it. I felt it. I felt that some major event was going on right now, something big that they were not telling us about. And I guess, there's probably a bunch of those type of things. But I started seeing some buzz around the internet earlier tonight about a massive cover-up going on pertaining to a nuclear power plant in Nebraska. Now, the mainstream media is completely asleep on this. There's just a few news stories out there. There are reports in the Wall Street Journal and other publications about the flood which has occurred there. Massive flooding has pushed this nuclear power plant. I mean, there's video. I'll put a link to it in the chat room. Allegedly, they have gone to a level 4 emergency, and we may be having a massive Fukushima, Japan type disaster on our hands right here in the United States. I don't know how many people. I mean, I'm sure by tomorrow now, because since we have people that monitor this broadcast, we'll have 100 other people who haven't talked about it yet that'll go on the radio show tomorrow and go, folks, I told you first this happened, folks. We're the first one to break this story. But I don't know if anybody's really talking about this. I don't know, but something is going on. There's a massive cover-up going on. The video I dropped in the chat room shows floodwaters all the way up to the top of the reactors. And it appears that there is a massive nuclear incident going on right now in the United States of America that could be a Fukushima-type disaster right in our backyard. This is worrisome considering the sheer lack of coverage that this is getting. And they're saying that this could, if these things go meltdown, they're gonna run to the river, which also feeds into the Mississippi River. This is going to be widespread, huge disaster. The FAA has officially shut down all airspace over the plant. So that's interesting. I mean, if nothing's going on there, then why do we close off the airspace and not allow planes to fly or helicopters to fly over there? Because they don't want any news getting out, and they don't want anybody seeing what's really happening, which is that we may very well have a real, actual event on our hands here. The Fort Calhoun, Nebraska nuclear power plant is going down fast due to massive flooding. The NRC has declared a level 4 accident. The FAA has issued the following directive shutting down airspace over the plant. The FDC flight restrictions for Fort Calhoun nuclear power plant effective immediately until further notice. So there's definitely something going on here. But again, the mainstream media is completely going to sleep on it. No coverage. And look, we knew from the beginning that the Japan incident was way worse than they were saying that it was. And of course, that's come out over the past couple of weeks that it went, all 4 cores melted down the fucking day it happened. They lied about the whole thing. Not only how much radiation leaked out, but they lied about the when and at what point the reactors had gone meltdown, because they said that there was still 1 remaining. No, they all 4 went meltdown the day it happened. They admitted that now. So if they'll do that, and that just happened, wouldn't you think it stands to reason that they would not have any problems lying about a major thing like this happening on American soil? They'd have a panic on their hands. So it's just unbelievable if it's not, Nibiru one day and nuclear power plants the other. Oh, my goodness. Let's go to the emails here. I want to read a couple of emails for you here tonight. This one comes to us from Wayne. Wayne says, I just want to run a crazy theory past you. I just wondered about the possibility of the Temple Mount really being where the Baha'i Faith site is. I always wonder why the government let the Baha'i Faith site building in there. I'm also wondering why the government has never seized the Dome of the Rock site back from the Muslims. Are the Muslims really that much of a threat? They don't seem to be afraid of making war with them at the drop of a hat otherwise. Just wanted to know your thoughts on the subject and address it on the show if you can. Yeah, either here's the thing. It all has to do with bloodlines. And when you start to look at who the true Semites are and the true Semitic people, those are the true Semites are the ones that are, quote unquote, God's chosen people. And those consist mostly of the Muslim and Arab communities. So what's going on is that what they have there at the Dome of the Rock site is something that they would very much like to hijack from the Muslims and take as their own, to claim that to further seal the deal that, it's no, it's actually the Jews who are God's chosen people, and skew the whole thing. The reason we know this is because the same thing is talked about in the ancient literature pertaining to the Ark of the Covenant, to the Palace of Sheba in Yemen, because a lot of these the mythology surrounding these ancient megalithic devices and apparent ancient technology, things like the Ark of the Covenant, and also, as you mentioned there, the Dome of the Rock site, these megalithic sites that, for one reason or the other, for some have some sort of religious purpose that also ties in with some sort of high technology, which of course we both know come from extraterrestrials, the technology and the religion as well. So what they talk about in Yemen with the Palace of Sheba there, being that the Ark of the Covenant can only be utilized when a friendly country is overhead. Meaning that the people who are inherently from that land, the people whose descendants have been protecting that area where the Ark of the Covenant is for thousands of years, they've been trained generationally there, the tribal people have. It's been passed down from generation to generation. And if anyone from who is not one of those people, indigenous to the land, the Ark of the Covenant apparently does something like what was depicted in the Raiders of the Lost Ark film with Harrison Ford, with Indiana Jones. Remember at the end? And if you watch that movie, man, there's some very real elements in there. The guy is wearing an ephod. They're reading a Kabbalistic chant. I mean, there's very accurate occult things in there. The ephod, I mean, they're just little things that, like, little touches that are so accurate that, you're going, oh, man, this is not just fiction, man. This is the real deal. And, of course, what happens there at the end of, you've all seen, obviously, I guess, seen Raiders of the Lost Ark at this point. If you haven't, go back and watch it. It's a great movie. I bet if you watch it with a new set of eyes, you'll like it a lot more. I did recently and totally did. Just the whole Ark of the Covenant thing, it's great. But that's what happens. These guys, look at the Nazis and the guys, they try to open it up. What happens? The spirit comes out of the Ark of the Covenant and, melts the one guy, turns him into a pile of goo, and the spirits run through him and kill them all. And Indiana Jones says, don't look. That's what I think is going on here with things like the Ark of the Covenant, the rock site. Why don't they just take it back from the Muslims? Well, I think that's why. I don't think they can. And that's the whole reason why they haven't exterminated them all yet, is because and I don't have all the answers on this, Wayne, but I just tell you what I've thought about, what I've looked at concerns. There's some reason why they haven't done that yet. And again, I think it pertains to this idea that whoever deemed these certain people, these certain Semitic bloodlines and we know it was, one of the probably many extraterrestrials that called themselves a god, and then seeded people of a certain area of the world with a mythology and a religion and all the rest of this stuff. Whoever deemed them that, the real reality of who that is and what people that defines has been skewed and twisted and changed, and we really don't know the whole truth on it. But I think we will. We are in the age of revealing. I think all these things are going to be revealed, and I hope those things help there, Wayne, with your question, my friend. Thank you for sending that in to me. Scott, I wanted to read Scott's email on chemtrails he sent in. He says, I think a lot has been said up to this point regarding what is in chemtrails, aluminum, barium, strontium, and the health effects that they may have on people, animals, plants, and the earth in general. I think this issue is finally getting at least some press without just calling people conspiracy theorists. I'd like to get your take on who you think is doing this. Do you think it's defense contractors, U.S. military, black ops agencies, big businesses, or a combination of them together? If yes, which defense contractors, military branches, or black ops agencies do you think they might be? Do you think that anybody who was involved in these operations will ever be a whistleblower, or do you think that people involved in these operations would be too compartmentalized to know what is going on? I would suggest that there are probably some big biotech or big corporate agribusiness companies, Monsanto. Didn't I cover that a few months ago? Wasn't there a show where we had a story that pretty much nailed down the fact that whatever is in the chemtrail mixture spray is coming directly from Monsanto? Didn't we? I was pretty sure that we did a few months ago. We just totally blew that open here on the show. I can't remember when that was. Somebody that's savvy with the archives might remember when I covered that. But do you think that they want to develop spray-resistant ready or chemtrail-resistant ready crops to try and monopolize food production? Just a hunch. Thanks, Scott from Portland. I've got answers for a lot of that, Scott. So let me start back here at the beginning. Who do I think is doing this? Do I think it's defense contractors? Blah, blah, blah. I got to tell you, Scott, that's changed a lot. A whole lot, to be honest with you. In 2004, I started keeping a log book, and I still got it somewhere in a box or something, but I started keeping a daily log, weekly log, of what days I would see chemtrails, what time of year, and I kept that up for quite a few years. And I started filming a lot of chemtrails right around the time when I really got my first decent video camera. I guess that was 2007, right before 9/11 New World Rising came out, and right before I started the show. So right around that time, I started shooting, different chemtrail planes. Every time I'd see chemtrails go out and, because it had a good zoom on it, so I could zoom in. And I tell you, I've seen everything from planes that have been identified. He asked, what branches and organizations. I know NATO. A lot of these planes belong to NATO, or NATO planes. So this is that right there alone, I think, is a big indicator. This is a massive worldwide operation that's being perpetrated from the top. But I got to say, with that said, I see kind of where Scott's going with this, with the idea of, if this was a massive conspiracy with all these people flying these planes around, spraying stuff, somebody would have to come forward eventually, blah, 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 whatever. And you think that just statistically that would be true, especially when you look at how many planes there are. But see, I don't believe that those planes are being flown. My evidence, at least what I've witnessed and seen with my own two eyes with these things, I don't believe those planes are being flown by pilots. I believe they're all, and I'll do you one better. I'm starting to have serious doubts of whether or not they're even planes at all. I don't know what they are. I've seen evidence that shows that they may be holograms. Stealth planes. People have speculated that they're UFOs. People have speculated that they're time travelers from the future that are spraying things in our atmosphere to keep it from getting to a certain point it's going to be at in the future. I'll tell you this, Scott, I've seen probably some of the weirdest stuff I've seen in my life, ever witnessed with my own two eyes, has come as a result of things that I've witnessed looking at chemtrails. I've got a lot of this footage I shot from 2007, and it's on my list, Scott. I'm going to get it cut together and put up this week on YouTube, because I put some of it, like I think, on my old MySpace account or something back in the day, but I don't have any of this stuff currently on YouTube. So, but there is some of these examples of what people have called holographic or I don't know, some kind of these. A lot of times when you're looking at these planes through zoom lenses, you can't see a plane. There's no plane there. I've known plenty of people that have seen that. I've seen it. You can see it with binoculars sometimes. A good pair of binoculars, big, heavy binoculars, or a good camera with a good zoom, and watch these chemtrails. Oftentimes you won't see a plane. You'll just see jets of whatever pouring out. So for the longest time, I think that there is multiple programs going on. That's another thing. There's some of these different programs are being conducted by different organizations. Now, there's a definite aspect of this that has to do with, of course, what everybody has talked about, which is weather modification, that kind of thing. But that's not the whole operation. I think that kind of stuff's being executed by, we know it's being executed by the Department of Energy. Department of Energy admits to spraying chaff and sulfur hexafluoride in the atmosphere. There's an article I wrote several years ago entitled Global Warming Being Engineered by Chemtrails. Hell, even old Enchilada Boy was so good, even Alex Jones had to post that on his website. But it's still out there. Global warming being engineered by chemtrails. Josh Reeves. Type that into search engine. You'll find there's a lot of good links in there to some of the information. But I've seen a lot of stuff with these planes. There's a picture on my refrigerator that I always like to show people when they come over to the house. You know, you always have pictures on the refrigerator, and there's a picture on our refrigerator that my sister Jamie took one time, and it's a picture of an X chemtrail, right? And it's an X, where the chemtrail has formed an X. One plane went through it, formed another, and formed an X. And at the bottom of the X, there is this white, puffy orb thing, clear as day, huge, and you can see where it cuts right through the bottom of the X chemtrail. You can see it, literally, you can see a jet of exhaust behind this white, round, puffy thing, and then it cuts it in half. It's the damnedest thing I've ever seen. So, I don't know, Scott. I used to think that this was completely a, government or world government, NATO world event. I think a lot of it is, as far as weather modification, as far as stuff for the X-band radar system, barium, stuff like that gives them, because what that does is it gives them, the X-band radar system, when they spray barium up there, they create a layer in the Earth's atmosphere, and it gives them the ability to be able to see a 3D topographical image of the entire surface of the Earth. Now, you can imagine that when you go, imagine flying in a plane or guiding a ballistic missile or whatever, and having a screen that looks like an Atari 2600 for your guidance system versus a guidance system that looks like, PlayStation 3. That's really the difference between the type of view that the X-band radar system gives them from this barium salt they spray in the atmosphere. So that's one part of it. But I think that there's multiple levels, multiple things going on here. There are always weird orbs. You'll see them if you go out and look at chemtrails. I bet almost everyone of you out there has seen these phenomenon of these orbs, these small balls that seem to fly around chemtrail planes. I used to think this was strictly just a terrestrial bound type of operation, something that governments of the world were doing. I still think a big part of it is that. But I have to say, Scott, that I think that there is something more sinister going on here. I think there is something deeper, possibly extraterrestrial happening here. We're just going to have to continue to look at this and be objective and just, take pictures. Go out and get, if you've got a video camera, go outside and film these chemtrails on a day. Just go out and film random chemtrails, zoom in, get some good shots. And you know what? You never know what you're going to get on camera once you get it home and rip it to the computer and look at it anyway. Crazy, crazy stuff. So there you go. Hope that helps. I didn't, somebody had a question last night about Bilderberg. I didn't cover the Bilderberg thing that much because, again, I kind of answered that question. But what was up with the guy, the Italian MEP Mario Borghezio was reportedly given a bloody nose on Thursday as he attempted to sneak into the secretive Bilderberg conference in St. Moritz. Borghese of the right-wing Italian party Lega Nord was reportedly with another Italian as he attempted to infiltrate the luxury Cervena House Hotel where the conference is taking place. So this guy was a state official, not invited to the meeting, and he wanted to go in there and see what the fuck they were talking about. That's pretty wild, and we've come a long way with people's knowledge of Bilderberg. I remember like 1999. 98, 99, something like that, when I first started telling people about Bilderberg Group, you were certifiably in fucking sane if you believe that. Not even kidding. You would tell people there was these secretive groups of elite that meet once a year at and plan world events. You were out of your fucking mind to believe anything like that in the world existed. So we have, I'm not kidding, folks. Those of you that hadn't been awake that long, you guys don't, you're lucky. You guys have been around in time for the heyday of the 9/11 truth movement. And, dude, it used to be bad. It's widely accepted now, having these opinions and knowing this information into it. I mean, but it didn't used to be that way. It wasn't polite to even talk about this stuff, outside of people that really knew what was going on. Now, you're a fool if you deny this stuff. It's just wild how things change. But I can remember the first time, I guess back in 2007, walking out of a gas station, looking at the Dallas Morning News, sitting on the newsstand there, and big bold letters on the front of it. It says Governor Perry attends secretive Bilderberg Group meeting, and I grabbed a fucking stack of those newspapers. It was like, God damn it, vindication for years. People telling me I'm crazy for saying that the Bilderberg Group even exists, even though it's in his, history books. You can just go look it up. Back then, there was no internet, though, or not a lot of people had the internet. It wasn't really widespread. So if you want to look something up, you had to go to the library. And everybody was, that's liberal media lies. That's what that is. Mm-hmm. That liberal media. Let's get into a few news stories here before we break tonight. Let's see. This is a great example of your government spending your money in a wonderful way. Check this out. The Golden Hookah winner, dope smoking menstruating monkey study, got $3.6 million in tax dollars. Yeah, for government waste. The National Institute of Drug Abuse, division of the federal government's National Institutes of Health, has spent $3 million over the past decade funding research that involves getting monkeys to smoke and drink drugs such as PCP, methamphetamine, heroin, cocaine, and then studying their behavior, including different phases of the female monkey's menstrual cycles. Let me ask you a question. In this economy, what could you possibly be trying to figure out, or what conclusion could you possibly be trying to come to about what happens if you get a monkey to smoke and drink, drugs such as PCP and meth and heroin and cocaine? I think the results are pretty clear. That monkey is going to get fucked up. I mean, you could give me $3 million. You can let the monkey stay sober. And I can tell you right now, without even having to get these monkeys fucked up one iota, these monkeys are going to get fucked up. Fucked up. Seriously, fucked up. Really. You gotta love the government, man. You gotta love it. I wonder what's going to happen if we give a monkey PCP. Let's find out. We need $3 million government dollars to be able to figure this out. And the government says, no problem. Thumbs up. 5 million more kids started death in the ghetto today. Great. That's fine. But at least we found out whether or not that PCP fucks those monkeys up or not. By God. Let's go have a steak and fuck a prostitute, or it's America. Hell yeah. Report says new FBI rules permit agents to snoop without firm evidence. Is this supposed to be fucking news? How long have we known this? They haven't hit. They haven't needed firm evidence to snoop on anything ever. I don't understand. So we're supposed to be scared now because, oh, now the FBI can snoop without firm evidence. They've always had that power. You didn't know that? Wake the fuck up, motherfucker. Yeah. Been going on forever, man. Nothing new there. Oh, Lord. What else we have here tonight? Some of this, I get some of this news up here. I'll pull it up and I'll look at it, prior to the show. I'm like, oh, there's a good one. We'll cover that one tonight. And then I get over here on the show and I start looking at it. I go, man, I don't want to talk about that horse shit, because some of this stuff is just horse shit. This is interesting, though. Canada's spy chief says espionage has reached Cold War levels in Canada. And that seems to be going on. Yeah, I mean, there's everybody spying on everybody. It seems that all countries of the world now have certain pieces of information that pertain to something, and everybody wants to know what everybody else has. It's very odd. Something very big is going on behind the scenes, folks. It's probably going to play out like a fucking, what's that cocksucker's name? Roland Emmerich. Yeah. Probably going to be something that's probably going to play out like a Roland Emmerich film real soon. Canada's spy chief warned Tuesday that state-sponsored espionage against his country has reached levels equal to or greater than those witnessed during the Cold War. Richard Fadden, director of the Canadian Security Intelligence Service, said in a report presented to Parliament on Monday that foreign governments continue to covertly gather political, economic, and military information in Canada through diplomatic missions, various organizations, and by recruiting agents or informants. Now, this is where it gets interesting. It says its membership in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, and other multilateral and bilateral defense pacts and close ties to the United States also make the country an attractive target for espionage. So this is ramping up now because everybody seems to have something else that somebody else wants. And everybody's wondering whether or not who's going to come out with what, who knows what, how much does everybody do? That's what they want to know. That's what they're looking for. How much does Canada know about, how the government of the United States and Canada and all governments of the world have covered up UFOs? That's what they're looking for. How much do they know about it? How much are they aware? Because if you get information from Canadian government, Canadian sources that pertain to classified things they've done jointly with the United States, well, then even if you can't get the United States information, getting Canada's information is just as good because that's going to verify for you the things they've been involved in. So that's why they're doing this. They're trying to, they're really trying to find out exactly what's going on. I think the rest of the world has really woken up completely to the fact that something big is happening in our solar system. Something big is happening on our planet. Something big is happening to everything, to our souls, to our spirit. There is something massive going on. I think everybody in the rest of the world is aware of this, but here in the United States, we're still kept in this, sort of this perpetual dazed and this sort of perpetual, rose-colored glasses stage where, everything's, nothing big like that is going to happen. It's really wild to watch. But we've got some more news stories to get into with you here tonight. We're going to take a break right now. And we'll come back and finish up with this news and get into Chapter 40, almost getting done with William Ramsey God's Eden, getting real close with having that book completed. So love to hear from you. Global Reality Show at gmail.com. That's Global Reality Show at gmail.com. You got emails you want to get in tonight, got a question you want to get in here on the show, send it in. I'll do my best to address that for you here tonight. All right, All right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us tonight. And we're getting Moonbatty here for you. We're going to get into some more news and information as well as reading from Chapter 40 of William Brownlee's The Gods of Eden. We're almost done with that. There's a conversation going on in the chat room there at Global Reality, the Global Reality chat room at theglobalreality.com. We're talking about these different UFO files, and Stomping Evil said that he just read how Australia's UFO records from 80 to 82 are missing. And Herbal Mistress in the chat room said that it seems pretty obvious it's intentional. Don't know who has them, but they're somewhere. That statement, don't know who has them, but they're somewhere. And sort of just that sentence that she said, just it sort of clicked something in my head that I want to talk about here before I forget about it. I've thought about oftentimes, I don't know why that statement triggered this. I can't really tell you. I don't know where they are, but they're somewhere. Somebody's got them. I started thinking about how much secret information that the people of the highest levels of the United States military, the Department of Defense, Pentagon, CIA, NRO, DARPA, we hear a lot about the destruction of America and the end of America and the end of bringing down of America and all the rest of this stuff. But we have a large amount of governmental organizations in this country that hold the keys to the kingdom and have a lot of the secret knowledge that the world elite hold so close and so dear. So what's going to happen? What would you think would be the scenario? Are they going to, start if they merge us or turn us into, this new European Union style Western bloc, then, those secrets are going to have to go somewhere. So I and again, you're sitting there wondering, okay, well, what would happen? Because after the fall of the Soviet Empire, you could go and buy, Russian UFO files off ex-KGB guys for, $100 a pop in some back room. I mean, they were just selling out everything over there. So the fact of the matter is that I think a lot of the countries of the world, China and Russia, a lot of these countries that see themselves getting, cut out of their place at the table in the new coming world power structure, are trying to get themselves some, some bargaining chips and some blackmail material so they can have a leg up when this whole thing goes down. Somebody somewhere is going to have this stuff. What's going to happen to if they destroy America and America goes down the tubes? What's going to happen to all these people who have all this knowledge of all this secret technology and underground bases and all this stuff that America has? There are literally probably hundreds of thousands of people out there in the branches of military and the intelligence agencies and everything else that really know what's going on and have a definite idea of what these people truly happen. Where are those people going to go? What's going to happen to those people? Whose allegiances are they going to? Who are they going to give allegiances to when there is no United States of America anymore? So, because it seems to me that you're going to have a whole lot of people that have a whole lot of information that are not going to be, loyal to a country or a flag anymore. So what do you do about that? What do you do with people that have information that could be very damaging to your power structure? Many of whom and most of whom believe that the keeping of secrets and the withholding of knowledge and information that they have from the general public is being done on what they're being told and what they believe from their programming and then being brought up in childhood that is in the best interest of their country, the United States of America, the greatest country in the world, right? But when that's gone and they have no one to give the allegiance to anymore, you're going to have hundreds and thousands of people out there who have enough information to turn on and bring down the world order. So what are they going to do to these people? I mean, heck, And the only thing that they can do is and what I foresee happening is that the United States of America, although will change in many ways, will stay the same in many ways. I think the United States of America is going to be the official police country for the world government. I think that in many ways they already are, but I think that that's what our role is going to be. We're going to ensure around the world permanently that anybody or anything that the power structure deems a threat to them or to the world power structure that is now united under peace, anybody that is seen as a threat to that peace, this is what the New World Order power structure is going to be about, folks. Pay attention here. Anyone that is seen to be a threat to the peace, you're going to see nuclear disarmament, you're going to see all this stuff. They're going to usher in world government under the guise of peace and prosperity for all and unification of all the peoples of the world and everything else. But what they're really going to be saying is that anyone after this, now that we've brought peace to the world, now that we've ended warfare, now that we've united all the countries of the world together under one world government, now anybody who opposes that world government, because we were all united in peace, now we're all on the same side, is going to have to deal with all the powers that the world government has under its control. So I think that's what we're going to do. Any time the United States is going to be permanently used as the enforcer for world government and for the world government power structure. Anytime anybody attempts to get off the plantation, they'll use our space-based weapons. They'll use our military technology, all of this, for protection of the world global system. So that's what our role is going to be. That's what the United States is going to be. And that's where all the money's going to come from. The money is going to, all the military spending, people go, well, if they end the war and they disarm nuclear power and they bring everybody together under world government, you know how the military industrial complex is going to make money. Very simple. They're going to continue to make money off the fact that the new enemy, this has always got to be an enemy, right? Well, if you unite all the countries together under one country, then who's going to be the enemy? The enemy will then be, again, they'll create phony groups like Al Qaeda now. They'll create groups that are, the anti-world government league, stuff like that. Now that I say that, some fucking truther will take it and start a website and a radio show with it and not give me credit for it, and then come back and attack me and make up all kinds of crazy shit about me after they acted like they were my friend and, milked money and listenership and everything off of me for a while and attempt to stalk me. That seems to happen, Sure, somebody will probably do that now that I said that. Yeah, the World Anti-Government League. I'm sure that'll pop up. It's funny the shit that you have the crazy, stupid, insane, really whack nut people out there that you have to deal with when you're doing this kind of stuff, man. I tell you what, never thought I'd see it, but I can see them coming a mile away. I've seen it happen. They do it a million times. They've done it a million times. It's happened 5 or 6 times. They come in, they buddy up with me for a while. They, might make a $5 donation here or there just to make it look like they care. And they'll sure enough, they'll start a radio show. They'll say oftentimes that I inspired them to start the radio show. And then they turn around and attack me and call me everything but a motherfucker. And then wonder why I don't want to have anything to do with them. Stalk me, I actually had people go and add all of my friends that I actually know in real life that they've never met and don't know from Adam as an attempt to try and, I don't know, Stalky McFlapjacks. That's all I'm calling you motherfuckers now. If you go and add people that if you live in Sioux City, Iowa, and you've never been to Dallas, Texas, and you start adding people that are my friends that I know personally, not just on Facebook or online, but real people that I actually know and have had, working relationships with and friendships with and stuff, I'm going to call you Stalky McFlapjacks. So, we got some Stalky McFlapjacks out there. I guess it just comes with the territory. Let's see what else we have in the news here tonight. And we'll get on with reading from William Bramley. Scientists discover 60 new genetic mutations in every person. Scientists have found that each human being has around 60 different mutations in their genes, and although you might lack the superpowers of a character like Wolverine, the results are startling. Findings by the Wellcome Trust Sanger Institute in Cambridge and 2 other institutes in the U.S. and Canada revealed each one of us receives up to 60 mutations in our genome from our parents. It shows that human genomes, our genetic makeup, carried on 23 pairs of chromosomes and mutated in both sperm and egg cells, resulting in changes to our DNA seen in neither parent. The studies also confounded previous theories over whether most mutations came from the mother or father, with the results showing that it varied dramatically in each individual. To try and ascertain how much of a mutant each human is, scientists studied the genes of 2 families, both of which consisted of 2 parents and a child. Right. Well, that's, and look, we do evolve. Humans do evolve. And we have adapted to certain conditions in climate and conditions in, different areas of the world and things of that nature. And we do evolve, and but evolving in the evolution of the human species versus the theory of evolution by Charles Darwin, those are 2 different things, and our society somehow jumbles that up for us, so we don't know how to tell the difference. So that we just jump on with Charles Darwin and think he's the truth. Charles Darwin's the biggest bunch of hogwash I've ever heard in my life. It's bullshit. Evolution is something that happens on a very slow time scale. Humans evolved very rapidly, very fast. That's why, because we were helped along. Our progression was helped along. It's a fact. But yes, we are changing, and yes, we are evolving, and they're trying to hijack that into something that they can control so that we don't become, too powerful and become a threat to their power structure. I started noticing a few years ago. I noticed this. Well, I started noticing this like right around the time that my dad got diagnosed with lung cancer back in 2007. And it just prior to being diagnosed with that, he had not been. He'd just been I think just a few months, even maybe a year. I don't know, not very long, but it hadn't been very long before when he had stopped smoking that he developed this. And I had this theory, for years that. Because I've seen so many different things of it, and that oftentimes, and it very well could be that they're actually putting stuff in these chemicals in cigarettes. And there is now, I went and looked this up because I was just thinking about this last night. I went and looked up, and lo and behold, I found some evidence that says, yeah, indeed, what happens is that if you just quit smoking cold turkey and don't have something to keep the levels, or at least some level of nicotine in your body that it's been used to, and you just go cold turkey and rip that stuff out of your body, it actually causes the mechanisms in your body that cause cancer to form to start. And I was thinking about Bill Hicks. He watched some of the, I can't remember which one it is. It's not Revelations, because I think that was the last one he came out with. It's either Revelations or it's one of the Bill Hicks stand-up concerts that HBO put out. At the very beginning of it, he says, not a time to quit smoking, kids, but I fucking did it. And he's talking about, and he's real healthy, and he just quit smoking. And I think it was maybe a year, maybe not even that, a year, 2 years later, maybe not even that long, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And there's, come to find out, there is a lot of evidence that suggests that once you quit smoking, and I believe that the big tobacco companies are building this in conjunction with Big Pharma, building this into the cigarettes. I mean, what are two of the biggest industries in the world, if not the biggest, besides the military-industrial complex? The medical industry and the tobacco industry. They are working, ladies and gentlemen, I believe, hand in glove with each other to, you think about it. You get people on the cigarettes, you have them on there, you're getting their money. They stop smoking. That's a ton of money you're not getting from that one single person. What happens then? Well, a couple of months, they get cancer. So then these tobacco companies who are working hand in glove with the medical industry, well, then the racket continues, doesn't it? Yep, you spent your whole life buying cigarettes. You quit them, think you're going to have, oh, yeah, well, I'm going to have extra money now. Nope, sorry, you got cancer. So now we're going to take all of your money out for chemo and all these antiquated technologies we tell you are cures, even though we got cancer cures laying on the shelf. By the way, watched a documentary last night. Want to give you a documentary suggestion here. This documentary, I'm going to try and get the person who made this film on. It's called Brzezinski the Movie, not Brzezinski like Zbigniew Brzezinski, but Brzezinski. Brzezinski the Movie is the name of it. Burzynski. Burzynski. Brzezinski the Movie. You just got to watch this movie. It's about a doctor from Texas who created this this cure for cancer that totally eviscerates tumors, lung cancer, anything, and it doesn't come back. And we oftentimes this movie was just to me it was just mind blowing, because us in the research community, we always tend to. Well, after 9/11, everybody was, United States, oh, yeah, down with America, down with America. There's this real sort of down with America. The United States did 9/11. They're the bad guy. Let's bring down the United States. And I saw that really playing into the elite's agenda. Get them to believe that 9/11 was exclusively a product of the United States and American aggression, so that the real power structure, the world power structure, just goes on unabated without, any sort of accountability. Well, so I've always been cautious to let people know, hey, yes, United States, yes, we know they're behind this with the military. Yes, we know they're behind this with this in the government and blah, 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 and war. But we need to always keep in mind that it's much bigger than just the United States government and blah, blah, blah. And yes, that's true. And we all know that. But I got to tell you what, folks, after watching this documentary, Brzezinski the Movie, I want to say it right here, right now, and that movie is the proof of this. The United States government, listen up here. The United States government, the government of the United States of America, I am talking to you in whatever form or fashion you have taken since Dr. Brzezinski first created his. You wouldn't even believe what they did to this guy. They first off tried to say his cure didn't work and that he had no right to give it to people when he did, when he was in full limits of Texas law. Then they changed the law, and then after they changed the law, they still said he had a right to practice it, and then they tried to steal his patents just like they did Tesla. They claim he was infringing on their copyright, but he's got them dead to rights. But let me say it. This film proves beyond any shadow of a doubt that the United States government is responsible for the deaths of every single person in the United States of America that has died of cancer since Dr. Brzezinski came out with his first cure, proof that this was a cure, and I think that was in about 1975. So for the past 35, 36 years, think about how many people do you think that is, folks? Anybody got any idea? How many people do you think died of cancer between 1975 and 2011? Anybody got any idea? Anybody? Anybody in the chat room? Just a number? Billions, huh? Trillions of people, maybe? We can talk all day about Jesuits and Jews and Knights of Malta and priest class and banksters and secret societies and all the rest of this stuff, and all that's what well and fine, and all that's true. But forget all that for a moment and realize this. The United States of America, this film proves it beyond any shadow of a doubt, folks. Brzezinski, the movie, Burzynski, Brzezinski, the movie, it proves beyond a shadow of a doubt, folks, the United States government is responsible for every single person's death. My family, your friends. They are responsible for the deaths of every single person that has died of cancer over the past 36 years. It is a fact. They have known about this. It's proven that it works. It doesn't just work. It works beyond a shadow of a doubt. And the government tried to pull this out from under people who had been cured of cancer in the government. We're talking about hundreds of people, folks. They document all of this in the movie. After these people were cured of cancer, the government came in and tried to say they couldn't have the drugs anymore. And these people who were told they were going to have 3 months to live or 6 months to live, who went on to live for 4, 5, 6, 7, in some of these cases, there are some of these people who have lived 20, 25 years after the treatment. Their cancer has never come back. Because from what I understand, I think once you have to stay, you have to have regular treatments of this stuff so it doesn't come back. But so what? Right? It's just unbelievable. It was a real paradigm busting thing for me to realize, again, because I've been one of those people that has always said, hey, let's not blame all this on the United States. There are much bigger forces at work here, yes, but on this issue, on the issue of cancer alone, the United States government is responsible for every single person that has died of cancer over the past 36 years, and that is a fact. And I believe that every single one of you out there who's ever had your life affected by cancer, I think that every one of you owe it to yourself, to your family, to your friends, to your kids, to your grandkids, to make sure that everybody that you can tell knows that the United States government is responsible for the deaths of millions of people, because they have known this is there, they have known this has worked, and they have created a systematic witch hunt campaign against people who have tried to bring this out. And the biggest thing they're afraid of is this. Because Dr. Brzezinski holds the patents on these drugs, it would be the first time in history that an individual, not a pharmaceutical company, could bring a massive drug like this to the market. It would change everything. So definitely check out that movie. I want to read this article here. Does quitting smoking cause cancer? The subspecialty of neurosurgery that interested me was neurosurgical oncology, the study of brain and spinal tumors. I was distressed by the sheer number of cancer causes of all types. Soon I started my fellowship and I was examining a patient, and he said, "Doc, I used to smoke, but I gave it up 6 months ago. Now they tell me I have lung cancer." I never paid much attention to that remark until a fourth patient remarked similarly that she had quit smoking a few months back and now she has lung cancer. It was at Sloan Kettering for the first time the association between smoking and lung cancer was identified. Being a smoker myself, I was surprised at the unusual remarks these patients were making and decided to pay more attention. From that day, every single patient I saw with a brain tumor that had metastasized from lung, exactly like what happened to my dad, I kept a record as to their smoking pattern. Also made a notation as to if they had quit smoking and how long ago. I even went to thoracic surgery ward and started screening patient charts, and I was noticing a very sinister pattern. The majority of patients with lung cancer were smokers who, after several years of smoking, had quit smoking. What is the link here? After one stops smoking, the healing process starts, and then it doesn't know when to stop. The clinically high correlation between smoking and carcinoma of the lungs has been the focal point in societal campaigns against the habit and tobacco lobby. In an overview of personal history and a number of lung patients locally, we are struck by more than a casual relationship between the appearance of lung cancer and an abrupt and recent cessation of the smoking habit in many, if not all, cases. The association is more than just casual. Development of cancer within a few months of the eschewing cigarette smoking is a trend, and that's exactly what happened to my dad. Over a period of 4 years, a total of 312 cases were treated for carcinoma of pulmonary origin. Of this number, 182 patients had quit smoking within 5 to 15 months prior to their being diagnosed with lung cancer. Of the 182 patients, 142 were male and 40 were females with age that ranged between 47 and 74. Each one of them had been addicted to the habit for no less than 25 years, smoking in excess of 20 sticks a day. The striking direct statistical correlation between cessation of smoking to the development of lung malignancies, more than 60% plus, is too glaring to be dismissed as coincidental. So 60% of people who quit smoking get lung cancer afterwards. That's unbelievable. It is our premise that a surge in spurt in reactivation of body healing and repair mechanisms of chronic smoke damaged respiratory epithelium is induced and spurred by an abrupt discontinuation of habit, goes awry, triggering uncontrolled cell division and tumor genesis. In normal tissue healing, anabolic and catabolic processes achieve equilibrium approximately 6 to 8 weeks after the original insult. When an imbalance occurs between these phases in the healing process, disruptions in repair limitations occur, leading to tumor genesis. Nicotine stimulates corticocorphin, a releasing factor, CRF, besides increasing the level of the androcorticotropic hormone, both of which interfere with the immune system's abrupt withdrawal of the addictive drug, could trigger derangement of the smoking steroid, confirmed immunity, priming the healing lung epithelium to dangerous levels and uncontrolled cell division. So they're saying, people should wean themselves off of this stuff instead of going cold turkey. It's unbelievable. And I think they're engineering this in this. So they get you from cradle to grave, man. They get you all the way. They get you all the way through the whole time you're smoking. Then when you quit, guess what? They're going to get you again. The whole thing's designed to kill you, bleed you dry, take your money, and move on to the next victim. That's what we are. That's what they see us as. Not very comforting, is it? We're going to take a break, come back, and when we get back from the break, we will be reading from chapter 40 of William Brems, The Gods of Eden. So definitely stick around. All right, back here with you on the Global Reality, right here on the Global Reality Radio Network. I'm your host, Josh Reeves. Thanks for being with us tonight. Thanks for staying up with us. We got one segment left here of the show tonight. We're going to be reading from William Brems, The Gods of Eden, chapter 40. Wow, I can't believe we're almost through with this book. It's been a fun ride, hasn't it? How long have we been reading this book? 3-4 months now? 2-3 months? 3-4 months? Can't remember. It's been a while, but it's been amazing, man. And I want to do this again. I'm going to continue to do this in the future with more books. If you have certain books out there you'd like me to consider, I'm not going to promise I'll read everything that gets suggested. But if you've got things you might want me to read, send it to globalrealityshow@gmail.com, and I will give it the consideration. So chapter 40 tonight, The Nature of a Supreme Being. Should be some good stuff here. Again, our website where this broadcast originates from is www.theglobalreality.com. And there at the website, we have a chip and banner and donate button. And we just, last week we were with being, denial of service attacks 3 days on the network. And, it really did hurt us and really did hinder our work. So please donate if you can. Use the donate button for amounts that you don't want to go into the bills for the month. That's where the chip and banner is. But use either one of those, and please support us if you can. We didn't really, we had one of our listeners, I think we got like $10 in or something yesterday. it's, some days, you don't get a decent meal for a couple of days. It's just how it is. It sucks. And it's been like that the past couple of days. So just donate if you can. Thanks. Because I'm not going to sell advertising. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to have fucking ads splattered all over my website. I just refuse to do that. Everybody else does that, and that's what breeds these money huckstering fucking websites. Because, when you're worried about whether or not you can say a certain thing or have a certain opinion or put out certain pieces of information, because if you say that, then because I ran into that when I was on Oracle. There was, they started having sponsors threatening to pull out from the network from things that I talked about on the show concerning the CMP and Ron Paul and Alex Jones and the John Birch Society. They didn't like that. They literally threatened to pull their sponsorship. And, when guys want $400 microphones to do their shows with, so they can look cool in front of other radio hosts who they talk to on Skype, you got to figure what's going to, who's going to go, the sponsor or the host. So I never wanted to be in a situation ever again. I never will be, hopefully. As long as you guys continue to support us, I won't be in a position where I will ever have to do that ever again. Censor myself or not say, what I want to say or what I feel, because I have to worry about whether or not, we're going to be able to eat, live, and survive, And it's already like that anyway, regardless. So I don't know. Maybe I should just go ahead and fucking sell advertising. I don't know. Chapter 40, the nature of a supreme being. Before bidding you adieu, there is one last subject for me to touch on. It is a topic which has been lurking in the background of this entire book, but one which I have successfully avoided thus far. It is the subject of a supreme being. So I read this intro last night on the show, so I'm not going to read the whole thing, but I wanted to get up to that point. It is unfortunate that the term scientific method has become almost synonymous with materialism. The two should not be equated. The scientific method is simply an attempt to understand and explore an area of knowledge in an intelligent and pragmatic fashion. It strives to find cause and effect relationships and to develop consistent axioms and techniques that will lead to predictable results. This is the type of methodology which needs to be and can be applied to the realm of the spirit. But it has not been done to any large degree. The great universities and foundations are too busy with their man is brain studies to do more than superficial studies into the mounting evidence of spiritual existence. The major religions already have their Word of God writings, and so they rarely undertake scientific studies into this area either. Some people deny the existence of a supreme being altogether. It is difficult to blame them considering the level to which spiritual knowledge has deteriorated. However, the overwhelming evidence of individual spiritual existence and the many characteristics which all spiritual beings seem to share in common would suggest that a supreme being of some kind probably exists as a common source of all spiritual existence. If a spiritual being exists, it is likely that most people would not recognize it if they encountered it. Many individuals expect a supreme being to be a giant man in a flowing beard who rants, raves, and kills people. Others think that a supreme being is a bright light that exudes love and warmth. Still others perceive it as some completely unfathomable mystery that no one can ever hope to comprehend except through strained mystical contortions. A supreme being is probably none of these things. While researching this book, I encountered many ideas of what a supreme being might be. Perhaps the best way to tackle the issue is first to try and determine what an individual spiritual being is. A spiritual being appears to be something that is not a part of the physical universe, and yet it possesses both external awareness and self-awareness. The Samkhya definitions on pages 103 and 104 of this book appear to be fairly accurate, and I refer the reader to those pages. The mounting scientific evidence of spiritual immortality in near-death episodes and in documented past life memories indicates that spiritual beings are best defined as timeless and indestructible units of awareness. Every spiritual being or unit of awareness seems to be completely unique and independent. Each appears to possess its own distinct viewpoint, which cannot entirely be duplicated by any other unit of awareness. This uniqueness and individuality of viewpoint appear to be the very essence and purpose of spiritual existence. We may see some evidence of this in the fact that when individuals are crushed into sameness, that is, being the same as everybody else, they become unhappier and worse off. Their perceptions deteriorate and they are less creative. When true uniqueness and individuality are restored to people, they regain their vitality and creativity. It appears that every unit of awareness is capable of infinite creation because creation by a spiritual being is accomplished by the act of thought or imagination. If you imagine that there is a white cat on top of this book, you have created a white cat, even if it only exists for you. Such creations, when shared and agreed to by others, eventually give rise to universes that can be shared and experienced by all others. This seems to be how spiritual beings create universes of their own and in cooperation with others, and why there exists evidence in modern physics that our universe appears to be ultimately based on thought. For any universe or reality to exist, an infinity must first exist in which a universe or reality may be placed. All reality, including this material universe, arise out of infinity and not vice versa. This has been demonstrated by some remarkable mathematics being done at various universities. Every unit of awareness is the source of its own infinity because thought and imagination have no bounds. Any amount of space, time, or matter may be imagined by any spiritual being and ultimately agreed to and shared by other spiritual beings. Where did all these countless units of awareness come from? Did there exist at one time only a single unit of awareness from which all others originated? The many similarities between all spiritual beings make it appear so. That original unit of awareness, which what is normally called a supreme being, we might also call the primary being. It appears that spiritual beings are actually the units of awareness of a primary or supreme being, yet each unit is possessed of its own self-awareness, personality, free will, independent thought, and infinite creativity. This would mean that a supreme being had created or had given birth to an uncountable number of unique and individual units of awareness through which that supreme being could experience the uncountable infinities, universes, and realities which all those spiritual beings could freely and independently create. A supreme being might therefore be very crudely likened to a person sitting in a television control booth who puts out trillions of video cameras. Each camera, or a spiritual being, feeds a picture into its own individual monitor screen in the control booth to be viewed by the operator, the supreme being. Each camera is situated a little differently, and so each has its own different viewpoint and perspective. Each camera is also capable of creating its own special effects or universes. And they kind of play into that a bit in the I think it was the third Matrix film they came out with, when Neo goes and meets the Grand Architect. I got to tell you, man, watching it in the theater, there was a stream of piss running down my leg that ran down the aisle in front of me in the theater. People were like, didn't know what it was, because I was literally like wetting myself when Neo walks in the room and there's the guy sitting in the chair in front of a bank of television monitors, like he's describing here, and they call him the Grand Architect. Like the Masons referred to the Grand Architect of the universe. I just went, oh my God, they really are throwing this in our face. If the above theory is accurate, we might ask how a supreme being could have been so foolish. Why would it create awareness units that were self-aware? After all, it is the quality of self-awareness, or the awareness of being aware, that allows spiritual beings to be completely independent and engage in the silliness which has caused them to suffer the sorry plight that they now appear to be enduring on Earth and probably elsewhere. Why did a supreme being not simply throw out an enormous number of awareness units that were only externally aware and had no consciousness of their own existences? Better yet, why did a supreme being not do the sensible thing and simply retain its own single undivided viewpoint? Self-awareness is apparently the quality which gives spiritual beings the capacity for thought and imagination, and hence to be a source of infinity and creation. Without self-awareness, a spiritual being could not create on its own. Self-awareness appears to act as the mirror against which a spiritual being can be the source of an infinity, and within that infinity can create realities and universes. Theoretically, of course, a supreme being was already capable of creating an infinity and of creating anything within it. A supreme being could only be the source of one infinity, its own. If a supreme being wanted to experience another infinity, it had to first create another unique self-aware unit of awareness like itself. So it apparently did just that. But it did not satisfy itself with just one more unit of awareness. It appears to have put out an uncountable number of them so that it could enjoy an almost infinite number of infinities and realities. This suggests that the potential scope of a supreme being extends far beyond the boundaries of this one small universe. It encompasses trillions of potential infinities and universes. Aha, you might interject. By definition, only one infinity can exist. It is redundant for something already capable of infinite creation to expand itself. Infinity multiplied by uncountable trillions is still infinity. As noted, infinity appears to be solely the product of viewpoint. Only units of awareness are capable of viewpoint, and therefore there would exist as many infinities as there are units of awareness. Units of awareness being spiritual beings. Infinity does not arise out of the mechanical universe or from any of its laws. Rather, the mechanical universe and its laws all appear to arise out of infinity. What went wrong? How did so many spiritual beings, each capable of infinite creation, wind up with a dull thud on Earth, thinking that they are nothing more than meat and electricity? There are apparently many factors that cause this, including those that were discussed in this book, and I will leave it to someone else to describe other, perhaps more significant long-range causes. I will only add that spiritual entities can become hopelessly caught up in the labyrinths of their own intricate creations. Although the universe appears to operate on very simple building blocks, once these blocks are put into place and other arbitraries are introduced, a universe can become extremely complex and solid-looking. Like the universe we share now, when that happens, spiritual beings may become fixated in those universes like cameras anchored in a dense rainforest. The cameras are unable to perceive beyond the foliage immediately in front of them. After staring at the foliage for a long enough time, the cameras may begin to believe that they too are nothing but foliage, and they forget that they are cameras. Salvation would come by restoring to those cameras their true self-identities and by giving them the ability to come and go from the rainforest at will. If we look at individual spiritual beings on Earth, we see that they are very small in relation to the universe. This is the situation that apparently occurs when spiritual beings become enmeshed in bodies or other physical objects. In that state, spiritual beings have lost their power to change perspective in relation to the physical universe. Perspective is apparently what determines the size of a spiritual being. Have you ever stood on top of a skyscraper and looked down? Your first reaction might be to think, gee, those people sure are small. They're the size of ants. Those people look so small and really are so small because of your change in perspective. A spiritual being in an trapped state can apparently change perspective in the same way in relation to the entire physical universe. The universe can appear no larger than a cup of coffee or an atom the size of a mountain. This is apparently how a spiritual being becomes bigger or smaller. Changing perspective in this fashion is not an act of mere thinking, however. It is a matter of actually shifting direct spiritual perception in as real and tangible a fashion as the person who hops on an elevator to the top of a skyscraper. Spiritual beings on earth are largely confined to the single perspective dictated by the physical bodies that they animate. Mental perspectives can still change, but not the direct perspective of the spiritual entity in relation to the universe itself. The foregoing discussion has some rather clear implications in regard to the rest of this book. The act of repressing a spiritual being, entrapping it in matter, or otherwise seeking to reduce its vision, creativity, or self-awareness as a spiritual being is the act of trying to reduce a supreme being. If one reduces a supreme being's unit of awareness, even just one unit out of many trillions, one has still reduced a supreme being by that much. Since only other units of awareness can engage in such repression, it follows that a bizarre psychosis has arisen. It is as though extensions of the same ultimate body are trying to repress other extensions. The left hand is trying to reduce and trap the right hand. That appears to be one type of psychosis that can arise when beings possessed of free will become entrapped. Some mystical religions teach that one's ultimate spiritual aim should be to permanently merge with or rejoin a spiritual being. This appears to be a false goal. If spiritual beings were created to act as unique and independent viewpoints, it would be contrary to the purpose of creation to permanently merge with other awareness units or with a supreme being. It may not even be possible to do so. The true goal of any salvation program should be to fully recover one's unique spiritual self-awareness and perspective. The above discussion suggests that many popular ideas about God may be inaccurate. For example, some people with near-death experiences report that going through a tunnel and meeting a being of light, which instills in the near-death victims feelings of love and all-knowing. I met a man who belonged to a Hindu sect which attempts to contact and merge with this being of light in its meditations. The man wrote a paper describing his personal experiences. His descriptions of spiritually traveling down a tunnel and meeting a being of light are very similar to the statements of near-death victims. Yeah, it's DNT release is what you're seeing there. It's what's causing that physiologically. While I acknowledge the importance and probable reality of many such experiences, I question the beliefs, some of the beliefs which may have arisen from them. The feelings of love and all-knowing conveyed by that being can be instilled by drugs, electronic emanations, and other artificial means. Interestingly, some UFO abductees have reported such emotions during their alleged examinations aboard UFOs. Right, that's because they don't act that they figured out a way to harness our spiritual bodies. When people talk about being abducted by UFOs and they have marks on their bodies, that's not because your physical body left a ship and you went up in a ship and did no. If anything done to the spiritual body reflects itself, any damage done to the spiritual body reflects itself on the physical body. And many people believe, including myself, that these extraterrestrials have the ability and the technology to be able to basically abduct your spiritual self or your etherical body. And then that's what they do tests on, and that's really what they're interested in. And that makes a lot of sense because it does seem that is the most intriguing thing that beings from other places seem to be interested in. Our souls themselves, not really our meat suits, you know. In some of these UFO cases, the surrounding evidence strongly suggests that the feelings were caused by an electronic device used as a sedative. Whatever the near-death being of light may be, I will not even try to guess, it is most assuredly not a supreme being. It may even be an object that contributes to post-death spiritual amnesia. People should not be counseled to merge with or go to the being of light during meditation or at death. They should stay away from it if they can. In saying this, I do not mean to deny the otherwise positive and profound feelings experienced by some Hindus and near-death victims as a result of temporarily re-experiencing their spiritual immortality. What are we then to think of the idea of a supreme being sitting in judgment on beings of the earth? It is hard to imagine that a supreme being would condemn its own units of awareness, no matter how small and entrapped they have become, and no matter how insanely and destructively some of them behave as a result. Would a supreme being, seeing how bad everything has gotten, perhaps end its experiment and vanish all other awareness units except itself? If such a thing were possible, I dare say it would not be done. Creating an almost infinite number of spiritual beings would actually have been a brilliant move on the part of a supreme being to expand itself immeasurably. The solution to what went wrong would be to preserve the awareness units and encourage them to achieve their salvation. Spiritual salvation would probably not happen through the waving of a magical godly wand. However, because spiritual beings possess free and independent will, salvation appears to be something that spiritual beings must take responsibility for themselves. It is up to every individual to seek out his or her salvation in an intelligent fashion. Salvation appears to be something that can be achieved as pragmatically as any other goal in life, provided that a rational understanding of how to attain it is developed. Many theologies teach that a supreme being is opposed by an enemy. Perhaps there is an element of truth to this, even if that truth has been distorted. We do observe that at every level of existence, there exists a condition or a game in which survival is challenged. At a personal level, an individual's survival is constantly opposed by aging, disease, and other factors. The survival of a family unit is often tested by financial problems, hostile relatives, and outside sexual temptations. Organizations and nations usually have competitors and enemies. In the animal kingdom, the survival drama is most vividly played out in hunter-prey relationships. All physical objects face inevitable deterioration. Spiritual beings themselves appear to face survival challenges by being trapped in matter. Since this survival game seems to exist at every level of existence, it is possible that it also exists in regard to a supreme being, a game in which a supreme being's own survival is tested by the diminishment of its awareness units and perhaps by the ultimate diminishment of the supreme being itself. For such a game to exist, a supreme being would have to either negotiate with one or more of its own awareness units to be the supreme being's opponent, or a supreme being would have to create in one or more of its awareness units an apprehension that a supreme being posed a threat to the continued existence of all other spiritual beings. A spiritual being's opponent would not be any different or inherently more evil than any other spiritual being, or any more than a neighbor who sits down opposite to play another in a game of Monopoly is either more innately more evil just because he or she plays a different role. An opponent would simply be one who became a different marker on a game board and played as well as possible. If such a game had indeed existed, then we can certainly hope that it may end soon by a supreme being conveying thanks to the opponent for a game well played, promising that indefinite survival of its awareness units and asking that the game be stopped. It seems time to put many old games to rest so that everyone may start moving into a phase of fundamentally improved existence. And that's the end of chapter 40. And there's another chapter here, To the Researcher, chapter 41, To the Researcher, and we will, of course, read that for you on tomorrow's show. So, again, good stuff wrapping up there. We're getting in the end of the Bramley book here, but, again, good stuff to think about. And, that's the biggest thing is I hope that no matter where you are, where you live in the world, what you got going on in your life. I hope that when you listen to these shows, that you know that you walk away from the shows with at least something to think about. You don't always have to agree with everything I say, but definitely if you hear me say something that you don't agree with, definitely go look it up and try to find out what the root of it is before you dismiss it. You may be surprised the things that are out there that you just, hadn't heard about yet, but are still very much as real as anything else. But I hope more than anything that everyone always takes away, at least, having something to think about. And I know that I definitely have since we've been reading this book as well. So really awesome stuff there. Well, that's it for the show tonight. I want to thank everybody for tuning in. Appreciate everybody being with us again. Please support us, folks. We run a little low right now, so we need all the support we can get. Shipping banner and donate buttons at the website, theglobalreality.com. My name's Josh Reeves. I love each and every one of you. We'll see you next time. You guys have a great night. Take care.